Considering the kind of extreme negative reaction to yesterday, have you heard from Jeffrey Lurie at all about what happened yesterday and what was his feedback?
No, Mr. Lurie and I talk every time after the game. Every time I haven't talked to him yet today. I know how supportive Mr. Lurie has been through everything. I would say this about that. What I was really doing, I was trying to bring energy yesterday, energy, enthusiasm yesterday, and I'm sorry and disappointed on how my energy was directed at the end of the game. And my energy should be all in on coaching, motivating, right, and celebrating with our guys. And so, that's and I got to have better wisdom and discernment of when to use that energy, and that wasn't the time. And so, we have the best fans in the world. There's no place like this, and they show up and show out no matter where they are, where we are. I can't, Brazil, Arizona, it doesn't matter. New Orleans, and in that game too, that they had two. It was loud, and I thought it was really loud, energetic, and those two false starts that the Browns got that forced a field goal instead of that. Who knows? Like they're they're 4th and 8, excuse me, at the 8-yard line, and then they get a penalty and they don't go for it on 4th and 13. Who knows how that goes? And so our fans brought the energy, brought the passion, brought the juice, and like I said, that's my answer to that.
Thank you.
We'll go to Ruben and then Jeff.
Hey, Nick, I'm wondering what made you kind of feel the way you do, what you just articulated, what made you change your mind? Because after the game, you said I was just having fun. What changed,
Sure.
and
Yeah,
were you aware of the way the fans reacted?
There's play calls in the game that you go through, and game management things that you go through and say, at the time I thought this was the right thing, and then you evaluate everything. You evaluate the way the players played. You evaluate the things that you did as a coach to get them ready to play, or the calls that you made, or the management of the game that you did. And you do the same thing with other things, which this one is. We'll
go to Jeff and then Dave.
Nick, what needs to be done to improve the offensive slow starts?
If there was something magic, we'd be doing it. We just, I think the defense really started well, and I know that's not the question you asked, but it kept us, being able to stay, 0-0, and then, the third drive get going. But we just got to figure out. We got to put the guys in positions to succeed. We got to be ready and the guys have to go out and execute. It's always going to be that. And we just have to keep trying new formulas. It's not necessarily the same formula against every team. It depends on the defense that you're playing and the opponent that you're playing. But we just got to keep trying different formulas of things that have been successful in the past, things that we think can be successful for this team. Again, just sprinkling the different formulas in there because we know how important it is that we get on that board first and not have to. And when they kick it to us and go down and get a score right away, and not have to think the defense to get a stop for us to get a lead.
Just to follow up on this scripted, how many scripted plays are there, and do you guys need to maybe not do that as much? Maybe that's the issue.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to get into how many plays there or how many plays that we have there, how many plays we script out on third down, on red zone. Again, we'll keep trying different formulas to make sure that we're putting the guys in position to succeed and that the guys can go out and start fast.
We'll go to Dave and then Ed. We'll go to Ed here.
Yeah. Hi, Nick. I know you don't like to give a lot of injury information, but it certainly doesn't look good for Jordan Mailata after seeing him on crutches yesterday. I know Fred Johnson's typically the man up, but would there be any consideration perhaps given to maybe Mekhi Becton moving out to that tackle spot if this is a long-term situation?
Yeah, that's a good question, Ed. It looks like, again, you're right. I don't give that information a lot. It looks like Jordan's going to be out a couple weeks. We'll see exactly how long it's going to be. I don't have that information yet. exactly all that. But, Jordan's busting his butt trying to get, make a play. And unfortunately that happened. And so everything's on the table though, Ed. Everything's on the table. We got some good ability to do different things because of the roster that Howie and his staff have built, and the flexibility that Coach Stoutland coaches the guys up with to be able to be multiple at different positions. So flexibility is there. We're early on in the process, and we'll figure that out as the week goes.
We'll go to Tim and then John.
And Nick, are you really calling defensive plays on occasion, or is that just more of a shield for your coaches?
No, I think it's very common in the NFL when the head coach gets on and says, attack or concede, come on, let's get after these guys. And I think that, that's where that comes from. And then there's personal philosophies that I have of how to play certain situations that you talk through. And so it wouldn't be fair for me to have the philosophies that I have and push that on my coaches and then not take accountability for it when the play doesn't work. And so so that's kind of how it goes, Tim. And I think that's pretty common throughout the NFL.
We'll go to John and then Martin.
Hey, Nick, to kind of follow up on Tim's question there, from the standpoint of pointing out specific plays, the third and one, you say all the time, your name is on everything, whether it's offense, defense, special teams. Is it better to leave it there and not point out specific plays? Have you thought about that?
Again, yeah, my name is on everything. I think it's just, again, the wisdom and discernment of when to do that and when not to do that. I don't think unfortunately there's not a rule book of how to be a head coach and how to handle different situations, but you try to do your best and handle each situation as it's presented. Will I consistently give that information? We'll see how it goes. But sometimes yes, sometimes no.
We'll go to Martin and then Bo.
Hey, Nick, kind of sticking with the defense. You guys had 5 sacks yesterday. I think you came in the game with 6 through the first 4 games. What do you kind of attribute the difference as far as getting to the quarterback? And also, if I could ask also how you thought Cooper DeJean played getting 91% of the snaps?
Yeah, I'll answer that first one first. I thought Coop had a really, really good game. And there's things that he has to improve on that were on the tape and that he's going to be working hard to do. But I thought his youth and his energy really showed up on that field. Like he makes that play where the guy traces back and you can see his speed and athleticism making the play. Martin, say the first part of your question again. I'm sorry.
Just like the difference as far as getting to the quarterback. You guys had the 5 sack yesterday.
That's kind of how games go sometimes. That there's opportunities in certain games. I thought our guys rushed well when they had to rush individually. I thought our guys rushed in tandem as a group well together when they were rushing with games. I thought Vic dialed up some really nice blitzes in certain situations that got guys free. So I think it was a little bit of a combination of all three. And then there were some times where the secondary had really good coverage. I think every time I looked at it, the secondary was tight and they were sticky in coverage. So it's good. It was really good team defense.
Thanks.
We'll go to Bo and then Chris.
Hey Nick, from a game plan standpoint, the numbers say it was the lowest amount of play action that you guys have ever run under you. Why was that the case in this game?
Different scenarios call for different things. That's a really good defense that we're doing some different things that made certain things challenging. And I got a lot of respect for Coach Schwartz. Obviously, he's done the ultimate thing here and won a Super Bowl. And so much respect for him and the coordinator he's been and the coordinator he is. And so they did some things that were challenging. Again, I thought Kellen did a really nice job calling the game. I can't tell you how good of a job I think he did. aggressive in certain situations where we need to be aggressive, which may not always be typical of being aggressive, but he was, and so I thought he did a nice job calling the game, and I thought Jalen really did a nice job of handling the way the game was called and the plays that were the way we're coming in, and went to the right place with the football. I thought Jalen, I'm just kind of adding to this. Jalen did a really nice job of starting off. We really wanted to start fast, but we didn't. That was the emphasis. But man, how impressive was Jalen in the sense that you can start off 0-5 and then 0 for 5 and then complete 16 of your next 20 balls like that. That's true definition of dog mentality.
We'll go to Chris and then Bob.
Hey, Nick, looking ahead to next week, you guys have to travel to MetLife Stadium again, a place where you guys have struggled in the past. What's caused those struggles, and what do you do to fix them, especially just think it's like 1-3 in those last games?
Yeah, I think it's the Giants that and obviously we had a loss against the Jets. I don't think anyone's thinking about this where we're playing or anything like that, Chris. But so it's really about how we go about this game. Like for instance, there's been guys on this team that haven't been part of some of those games. So we just got to go execute, control the things we can control. If I thought it was a weather thing or anything like that, then we'd do something a little bit different. This has just been more of our execution and our coaching in certain games, and we'll go we'll be hungry in this game and do the work that we need to do this week to get ready for this game.
We'll go to Bob and then Zach.
Nick, you said you wanted to bring energy yesterday, and you said your players asked you to do that, and now you're saying maybe you went overboard yesterday. How do you find a happy medium to all that? What do you feel like you need to do to get to that space?
Yeah, again, I don't think there's a playbook for that, but I think at the end of the day, it is okay. You want to be passionate and have energy, just like I did in there today with the guys. When we watch film together. But again, it's having that discernment of when to do that. And again, it is not I wish there was a playbook on stuff like that. It would make the job a little bit easier to do, but it's not. And so it's got to be, you got to have the discernment and the wisdom of when to do it. And I think that at the end of the day, it's like, as I think about it and as I reflect on it, it's, are you coaching your butt off, right, throughout the week and coaching your butt off during the game? Are you, motivating and pushing the right buttons? It's not necessarily motivating; it's wiring. It's sometimes I think you get there. It's wiring the guys in the right way, not inspiring them. Wiring your habits, and then it's just celebrating with them because that's so much fun. That's one of the best things you can have in this game. And some of the best memories I have of this game is the celebrations that you have in game, the celebrations you have in the locker room after the game. Stuff like that. And so I think that can be the baseline of everything and then going from there. Now, obviously, so that to answer your question.
Thank you.
We'll go to Zach and then Brooks.
Hey, good afternoon, Nick. What perspective do you have on why the special teams issues continue multiple weeks here? And if I can sneak in a quick injury question, do you have a sense of the Dallas Goedert and Darius Slay injuries yet?
Yeah, still getting a little bit more back on Dallas and Slay. We'll have more on that. And so it's still up in the air a little bit there. As far as the special teams, I think what's happened is like we've had the one catastrophic play each game with the past couple of weeks, and that it's one thing that really bothers me in coaching sometimes. Like we played a good game, except that except counts, right? Those count. And in this particular case, a really good player made a really good play. Like I told you guys, I can't tell you how much respect I have for Myles Garrett and the player that he's been. But he made a really good play, and we got to be better in that scenario. He made the same play against Indy last year, same exact play. And so we have to be better in that scenario. We got to coach it better. We got to execute it better and be aware of where he is at all times, not offensively and special teams wise. Shoot, if that guy goes in the game at tight end, I have no doubt in my mind that guy can make plays there. So we'd have to be alert for where he was there too, as well, because that's always your emphasis in this game of a game of matchups is don't let their best guys beat you. And he made a really good play that turned the tide of that game yesterday.
We'll go to Brooks and then Dave.
Hey, Nick, in talking about your behavior, you said you related it to reviewing plays, like reviewing that. Who was a part of that review for yourself? Was that just you? Was that Lurie? Was that Howie? Was that players? You mentioned players that talked to you before. Like, was that just your own process, or was others?
Yeah, that's my self review after each game. I always think I'd probably do too good of a job of pulling myself through the mud at the end of the game, but at the end of the day, that one called for it. And then also, that's the only way you get better.
We'll go to Dave and then Olivia.
Hey, Nick, how much differently are you guys coaching those mesh concepts, and what was the impetus for that?
Yeah, not a lot different. Not a lot different. I think back to our, 2022 at Washington, Zach Pascal gets a really similar play that set Smitty off for a really, really, really long run. I think back to Indy, and we're at Houston, and Trey Burton gets a mesh for T.Y. Hilton that looked pretty similar too, that went for a big catch and run. So again, you constantly think about better ways to teach it and better ways to how do you get better at it. That those coaching points have been pretty firm for the past year, for the past years. But what an unbelievable call there by Kellen. What great execution by the O-line and Jalen, and then really good by Jack Stoll and Devontae. And then really like to point out just the effort by Grant Calcaterra to make sure on the other one that Smitty got in the end zone. Because Rodney McLeod was flying around making a lot of plays yesterday. And Grant turned and got a block on Rodney to allow Devontae to finish that play.
We'll finish with Olivia and then EJ.
Hey, Nick, we kind of saw a similar scene at the end of the Saints game with Jalen Carter kind of talking to some of the players and the fans. You come over to him and try to talk to him and maybe calm him down. And then obviously with what happened yesterday, how do you view yourself as kind of someone who sets the temperature, the tone for the players in their just, their actions, their behavior? And when you fall short of that, how do you address that or take accountability with the players?
Yeah, it's an emotional game, but everything I'll start every meeting with the things that I screwed up, and so it's just being honest and taking accountability and having honest conversations, whether that's with the team or in private, but as we talked about today, and so I told you guys, it literally everything on that field is my responsibility. So, and that's from actions and behaviors and plays and everything, and I take a lot of pride in that, and when it doesn't go the right way, I put yourself through the mud for that. So everything has my name on it, and that's why the self-reflection at the end is critical, because the only way you get better is if you look yourself in the mirror and say what you could have done better.
We'll finish with EJ here.
Hey, Nick, two questions about the offensive game plan here. You guys use the fewest amount of pre-snap motion plays. I think the rate has been going down progressively throughout the season. And then Jalen only had one completion over the middle of the field. I'm curious if that's something the Browns, specifically do, or, what's behind those two things.
Yeah, we had a lot of tempo yesterday, plays on the ball, so that limits you sometimes. That doesn't mean you can't motion when you have a tempo play. But we had a lot of those yesterday, so that's going to affect the number a little bit. And then as far as the middle of the field, I just thought Jalen did a really good job of taking what the defense gave him, and had some matchups. I thought those were good corners out there, but we got really good receivers. And can't say enough about that last play on 2nd and 11 where Jalen threw. What an unbelievable play by those two guys. But that's just the way that, Jalen being, I just thought Jalen had a really nice game of going to the places where he needed to go with the football and being accurate with those throws.
Thanks for the time, Coach.
Thank you.